Since at least the 1980s, there have been efforts to reduce public health hazards in Boston from exposure to lead. At first, that was mainly about lead paint, especially in older buildings. But the Water and Sewer Commission is trying to help reduce the danger from another source, lead pipes. To explain the pipe replacement program and some additional help for homeowners is the Commission's Director of Communications, Dolores Randolph. Thank you very much for being with us, Dolores.
Thank you for having me.
Dolores, I want to ask you about this right now. Before we describe where the problem might happen to be, first of all, if someone is exposed to this, the lead in their pipes getting into their water supply, how serious a problem is that?
Well, lead in itself, whether it's from the water or from other factors, is a serious health problem. So first, I would say with regard to that is if there are concerns, go seek their medical provider and get tested and find out what their levels of lead are, if there are levels of lead. So it's serious. I don't want to diminish it, especially with regard to young children and those who might be expecting. So that is something to really be cautious about.
Well, right now, one of the things is that the Water and Sewer Commission has taken some steps to identify where the problem is most likely to occur. So first of all, talk about how did you figure out and decide which homeowners you had to notify?
We have an operations department that has for quite some time and has bumped it up more recently, has been doing some research in sort of the latest information that we may have regarding lead in the private property. Unfortunately, we never have the most recent because it is private property, but we try, whether it's the last time we've been out at the home, whether it's changing a meter or other factors, we check and see if people have shared information with us to really update our database so that we can directly reach out to property owners who may, from what we have seen, could still have a lead service line. That might change from the information we receive from them, but we thought it's important enough we wanted to make that direct contact.
Well, it's one thing, as often happens, to have a plumber come in and change a pipe under your kitchen sink. But if you're a homeowner and you're confronted with this, how far upstream might you have to go?
You mean to take a?
In other words, even beyond the kitchen sink, beyond the basement, maybe as far as the curb on the street?
Oh, to do the work. Well, first of all, the first step would be to confirm whether or not the line is a lead service line. And that we can do by taking a look at the meter. And in fact, some homeowners feel comfortable with doing that. But we can certainly come out at no cost and take a look at the meter and see what whether the lead is copper or if it's a lead service line. And then for most homes, it's that line that goes from the pipe. With most homes, the pipe's in the basement. That's where the meter is. It differs in some spots, but we basically can come out and take a look, give an estimate to the homeowner of what it would cost to get the work done and what the work would entail. But I've seen the procedure and it's simpler than one would think because it's advanced over the years and they basically make every effort to minimize the impact on the property, whether it be a driveway or anything else.
I know this is something that mainly concerns older buildings. So let's say if I own a 3-decker and I need to have these pipes replaced, how much could that cost?
I think it's fair for me to say at this point that there is an average cost. So it could be more and it certainly could be less. Sometimes it's based on linear footage from how far the meter is from our main, which is in the middle of the street most times. Up to $4,000 tends to be the average, but it could be more if there's a lot of linear square footage there. But that's one of the reasons why we increased our credit available to private property owners.
Well, tell me about that increase and how it would work.
Yes, Boston Water and Sewer is set up by a board of commissioners, And the Board of Commissioners recently voted to do what we could do to really encourage the removal of lead where we can. And so they actually doubled the amount of credit that we give to homeowners who choose to go through the program. So it went from $2,000 to $4,000 of credit. And that $4,000 for most homes takes care of it.
Now, if there's a removal cost that's higher than $4,000, is there still some other kind of help that's out there for homeowners?
Yeah, what's great is that, it's all on the water and sewer bill. So if there's a remaining amount, the homeowner can have that amount spread out, interest-free, at no cost for up to 5 years. So the goal is really to just do what we can to encourage owners and incentivize them to get the lead out.
Well, speaking of incentives, I know the most powerful incentive here is the family's health. But beyond that, anybody who owns a house now might conceivably want to sell it someday. And I guess if you got this problem taken care of, that might help you sell the property too.
I would say yes, because I would say that property homeowners, as well as people that are looking to purchase homes, are more aware of the situation than many years ago. And so they would ask that question. Because we've had, on occasion, people who were in the process of purchasing call our offices to, confirm whether or not there was a lead service line.
Well, right now, you also have people who are living with at least the possibility of a lead problem in the interim. What should they do to minimize the exposure? I mean, is there anything short of actually the pipe replacement itself that they can do?
Yes. One thing, call us. I would definitely say, so I'll share that. But the other thing is really in the interim, flush your water prior to use. Any water that's been sitting stagnant 4 or 5 hours, in my case, I would say overnight, prior to using it, just run the water and run it until you feel a change in the temperature. And that helps with moving anything that's in the water and ensuring safety. And this is basically not just a Boston Water and Sewer Commission direction. It's really what the experts from DEP and EPA say. Flushing your water is really an important thing to do.
By the way, if people think about using filters, can that help very much with water?
I do understand that filters help. They need to be approved. And I'm sorry, I can't recall.
But I want to ask you,
national approval. It's a helpful. They have gotten really much better over the years. But I would say, one really important thing to do is to remove the lead service lines.
Now, I know currently there's concern in some greater Boston communities about water safety, and these are communities that get their water from wells. What about Boston's source of water, and what's done with that water to make it maybe less corrosive for the pipes?
Yeah, Boston Water and Sewer Commission, we purchase our water from the Massachusetts Water Resource Authority, and the source of that water is basically the Wachusett and the Quabbin reservoirs. And so that water, basically with regard to lead, it comes into Boston lead-free. So what we're trying to deal with here is what happens when we distribute the water to the various private homes. And that's why we're working on getting the lead out.
Finally, if people want to find out more information about checking your pipes or taking advantage of the incentives, what's the best way for them to do that?
You can certainly contact our lead hotline, which is 617-989-7888, and someone there can help you. They can help you get on the list to come, schedule someone to come out and confirm whether or not you have a lead service line. They can tell you a little bit more about the program, go through any other questions that people have.
Well, thank you very much for taking your time to be with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris.
That was Dolores Randolph from the Boston Water and Sewer Commission. We'll have more news in just a moment.